and welcome to the 45th Parallel Universe weekly Friday night performance series, our little social distance ensemble. My name is Michael Roberts, and I have lived in Oregon for almost 8 years now, playing with the Oregon Symphony, and recently becoming the new principal percussionist. And I am joined by one of my great friends, Robert O'Brien, who is over there, I think, at least on my computer. He's over there. He might be over there on yours. But Robert and I went to Boston University together. We went to the New England Conservatory together, and we've traveled the country a few times, but not like you think for fun. It was mostly for several auditions we took, but that ended up working for us, for me in Oregon, and for him in Omaha, where he is right now, playing very far apart from me. He is the principal percussionist in the Omaha Symphony. So I'm really happy that we get to do this together, and we have a lot of music for you that we're going to be playing on marimbas. Really quick, I just wanted to mention something about internet streaming. Sometimes the internet robots, this doesn't happen that often, but it's happened a couple times, they might stop a stream if it senses that what they're hearing might match DNA with any of the millions of CDs that are recorded and being sold online. So if that happens, and like I said, it doesn't happen often, switch over from the YouTube stream to the Facebook stream or vice versa. So we're going to start the program, tonight's program, with a few short pieces by Bach. Bach, who has helped me get through this quarantine. I just love his music. There's such a complexity to everything he writes that you can listen to it academically, but you can also listen to it if you just want to relax, because he composes so effortlessly, and it's just very soothing. So go grab yourself a very large glass of wine, because that pairs nicely with Bach, in my own opinion. And this first piece we're going to play is the first invention from Bach's two-part inventions for piano. So nice and short. I feel pretty warmed up now. How about you, Rob? How was that, Danny? Danny Rosenberg is the mastermind behind us being able to play from 1,700 miles apart today. So I want to thank him, and I'll thank him again later for inventing this technology that allows us to play this far apart in real time over the internet. So thank you, Danny. This is awesome. So that was Bach's first invention. He invented that piece. That sounds cool, I guess. You could say composing, inventing. He wrote these inventions for students so that they could learn how to play two voices clearly and achieve a singable style of playing. So it's very melodic in both parts. Because I have the lower range marimba, I'm kind of like the left hand, Rob's like the right hand. This next invention is number 5 in E flat major.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rob from Omaha, and just want to thank you again for joining us this evening. And thank you to 45th Parallel Universe for having me, and Michael for inviting me to do this. Yeah, like Michael said, it's been a while since we played live music together, so this is really an interesting way to kind of get back in it, and it's been a lot of fun to put this together. We chose these Bach inventions because Michael and I were talking, and we both were introduced to music by taking piano lessons, and so these pieces were really instrumental through our growth as young musicians, pianists, and then as we got into percussion. Bach is still obviously very transferable to marimba, and so it's always kind of been there throughout our whole young careers up until the present day. So we picked some of our favorites, and this next one is invention number 13 in A minor. So thanks again for joining us, and enjoy.
All right. I think this is my first time ever using an Ethernet cable. There's always a first for everything. I thought the Ethernet cables were things that you were supposed to throw away when Comcast gave them to you, but they actually make the internet way faster, which is really cool. Also gives my cat something to chew on, which is good enrichment for the cat. So, yeah, short pieces, like I said. This next one might be the shortest, but it's one of my absolute favorite. It comes from Bach's French Suite number 5 for piano. And I just love this piece all the way from the Allemande to the Gigue. But we are going to play the gavotte movement from this, and I just think it's the purest music. I wish this could be like a soundtrack for when I'm just going about my day. And you know, like with all of Bach's music, it's had such a profound effect on people even 300 years after he wrote it. And it probably only took him like 10 minutes or something to compose these. So please enjoy the gavotte from French Suite number 5. If you're just tuning in, we're almost towards the end of our Bach sesh, and most of our listeners are halfway through their bottle of wine right now, so please help yourself to a glass. And I would like to tell everyone, if you can, to subscribe to 45th Parallel's YouTube channel. And if you subscribe, that way it's a great chance to get access to all this music that we're doing tonight and before and after. And if you are able to make a donation to 45th Parallel, because it helps bring these concerts to life, it helps the artists, and if you're able to make a donation, you can do that on the Facebook page or the YouTube page. The last Bach we're going to play for you is from Bach's Violin Partita, number 1 in B minor. And if you were listening to the live stream 2 weeks ago, you would have heard the entire piece. The unique thing about this piece is that each movement is followed by a variation of that movement. And the 2 movements we're going to play are the sarabande and double after that, which Emily Cole magnificently played 2 weeks ago, back to back, but we're going to add a little twist to it. And if we're breaking some rule, don't tell anyone. But we are going to play both movements at the same time because they have the same number of measures and the same chords that go with it. So I'm going to start playing the sarabande by myself, and then restart again as Rob joins me for the 2 movements. This is the sarabande. All right, we're going to move on from Bach now and fast forward a few hundred years. So if you want to drink something else, now's the time. This next piece we're going to play was written by my grandfather, Arnold Mesior. My grandfather has a bit of an interesting biography. I'll try and summarize it pretty briefly. He was born and grew up in Poland. And then for a little bit he grew up in Germany, and then he kept growing up in Palestine, where he has a lot of cool stories about how he witnessed what was going to become the Israel Philharmonic form, and stories from their first ever rehearsals and first ever concerts that are really pretty remarkable. But he played music at a very young age, self-taught pianist. He could play Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue when he was 10. He started going to any opera he could before he was a teenager. And then he also was growing up more in New York, so he traveled a lot. And then in New York, I think that's when he enlisted into the Air Force, and because he was fluent in 5 languages, he got to do a lot of cool special investigative stuff, stationed in different countries in Europe. So being busy with all this other work, not a lot of time to hone in on his passion, which was piano and composition. He did get to study composition at the Manhattan School of Music briefly with Vittorio Giannini, and later with Roger Sessions when he lived in California and went to UC Berkeley. And then after the whole Air Force stuff, he founded the psychology department at Georgetown University and taught there for a few years. So my whole point of telling this is simply that I'm always impressed by someone who's good at more than one thing. Pretty remarkable. So I don't know how I had the time. I have about 30 compositions of his that I get to play. Most of them are piano solos. This is his piano right here. This piece that we're going to play is a samba that was originally called California Samba because he wrote it for piano and voice in the 50s. And then later in 2010, so a lot later, when he found out his grandchildren, that's me, played percussion, he rewrote it for piano and marimba. And then I just adjusted it a couple of months ago for 2 marimbas. So this is Samba by Arnold Mazior. It's on the slower side of the samba, and that's because I didn't change the piano part all that much, and boy, does that get a lot harder with the range of the marimba. So I have one more piece of his. Actually, it's an arrangement, and it's an arrangement of At the River, which is a popular hymn tune, a traditional from Robert Lowry from the early 1800s. He was a famous poet and gospel music composer. And the reason my grandfather arranged this is because he was living in McLean, Virginia in the 80s, and he had a friend, a German friend named Till. I don't know his last name, but he was a known opera singer, known for his role as Wotan in Wagner's Ring. I almost said Lord of the Rings, but that was not Wagner. Wagner's Ring Cycle. And Till knew my grandfather was a composer and pianist and said, I'm not a big fan of Copland's arrangement of At the River. Could you write me one? And so he did. And there's nothing wrong with the Copeland. I think it's pretty incredible. But this is an arrangement of my grandfather's for At the River, which is a popular, some even call this a Christmas carol. You should recognize it if it's not coming to mind. It appears in a lot of movies. And I hope you enjoy it. At the River, adapted by Arnold Mesior. Where's my other music? Before we get into this last piece, I wanted to thank a couple people really quick. I want to thank Ron Blessinger, who is the artistic director of 45th Parallel, for lending me all of his stuff for this. His cords, his cables, his computer, his microphone, and his camera, and his enthusiasm. So thank you, Ron. I also want to thank Danny Rosenberg again, who is the magician behind all of this. Like I said earlier, he helped create this platform. I can't even explain it for us to be able to play. Actually, I can't explain it. He's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Matrix, which is one of the most important movies in my generation, but there's a character in The Matrix named Tank. And he is the operator and programmer of the Matrix on the ship, and he can just make buildings and doors appear out of nowhere. And that's this image I think you should have in mind of Danny. I feel like I can ask him for a smoothie, and then he can push a button and make it drop out of my ceiling. So thank you, Danny, for doing this. Also, really, because it's a joy for me to... I haven't played a live concert since March, and... wow, I've talked to all my musician colleagues, and this has such a profound impact on us. We didn't think to not be able to play for so long, so thanks for creating this platform for us. And that brings us to our last piece, which is the first piece that's actually written for marimbas. Felt like I had to put one of those in there. Steve Reich is one of the most famous minimalist composers ever, and one of the most profound composers from our time. In this piece, he uses something called phase music, where players are essentially playing the same thing but out of sync with each other. And we're going to do that throughout the duration of this piece, which is called Nagoya Marimbas by Steve Reich. All right, well, that concludes our show. Thank you, Rob O'Brien, for joining me. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I want you to tune in next week to the same time, if you have time, Friday at 6. Next week, you'll hear a piano trio. It'll be great music. Pianist Maria Garcia from Portland is going to be joined by friends from London and Bratislava, so a little further away than Nebraska, but it's going to be a great concert. You won't want to miss it, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great night or morning, depending on where you are. All right, thank you.